Hello, everybody. It has been a long time, like way too long since we have done a Bible journaling. So, my goodness. Just gonna try to make sure the light is decent and that you can see all the things. Oh, I guess it was better before. Okay. All right, so as people jump in, I'll try to say hi. I'm going to put this up on my computer so I will see any, comments or things. I'm going to be starting this from the beginning because it's been a long time since I've done a Bible journaling. It's been a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, way too long. I'm going to start from the beginning so that I can show you guys how to prep a page and all of that jazz. And for those of you who are watching this later on like YouTube or on my Facebook, you guys will know all of the steps. So let me just pull this up so I can read the comments. Make sure my sound is off. Okay, good, it is. Okie dokie. So it might be a little delayed, but it'll do the job. Okay, so today I really felt like I needed to take a step back because I have been working on cups and I've been working on digital art and I've been doing all of these other things and I have not been Bible journaling, and I just was thinking to myself, I was like, well, that's not good. I'm putting everything else in front of this, and even in this time when most people are staying home and able to take some more time to reflect, here I am just kind of running ragged and not allowing myself time to take time to reflect and spend time with God. So that is why I decided to Bible journal today. And I figured that the one that really fit both of things the most, both quarantine and my situation personally, just needing to just calm down and focus on God, was the storm, when Jesus calms the storm. So that is the verse that this chunk of verses that we're going to focus on. It is the version that I'm going through because I've actually Bible journaled on the pages that would normally be this. So like in Matthew, it is also here in chapter 8, but I've already done this side, so I really want to try not to do this side because it's just not going to match probably. And then in Mark, there's also a story of it in chapter 4, I believe, which I think is on the back of this page. So again, yes, Jesus calms the storm. It just didn't really make any sense to do that one, but luckily three of the four gospels decided to tell the story. So I do have this one here in Luke that I can do. And good evening, Emily. Good to see you here. I don't have my normal plastic that I put under this, but I figured that's fine because most of you probably don't have plastic. There's the actual things you can reuse over and over and over again to protect your Bible. But since not everybody has those, and because I can't find mine, I have 3 of them and I can't find mine. You can just use any paper. This is watercolor paper. It's a little bit thicker, but you can use really any paper. In fact, a thinner paper might be better. This just happened to be what was right next to where I was. You're going to want to use some clear gesso though. Clear gesso is super handy because it gives your paper a little bit of texture for the paint to hold on to. And it also helps the paint not go through the pages so that you are not seeing it bleed into other pages. There are times when I accidentally miss a spot when I'm doing my gessoing. And when I do, which apparently... Of course, when I'm looking for it, I probably won't find any of those pages. But when I do, it just makes it so that there's a lot of, there's like a shadow on the other side, or there's a bleed through. Yeah, none of these have the actual, and I guess I did really good job with most of these of gessoing them. But normally I have at least one or two where I missed one spot. Oh, there, that was where I missed a spot and it actually came through on the other page. The ones around the edge, that's just me being messy, and I'm okay with that because I like the look of like the mess on the edges of the Bible. I think that, you know, the creativity that comes into decorating my Bible has a lot to do with my personality and my expression, and the way that I express myself and my feelings and my thoughts is through art. So I think that the beautiful mess that is my Bible on the outside, I think that that really speaks to maybe myself and how I can be a mess sometimes. Okay, so enough about that. I'm going to put this in here. Now, this is not a, I'm not going to do a, like, Bible class with you guys. I'm not going to necessarily be telling you, like, the theological side of the verse. I'll maybe tell you a little bit about what it means to me, but this is not supposed to be, like, a Bible study with other people. This is me just showing you how I do the Bible journaling side of things, how I prep my Bible and what I do for the art side of things. So I use a card. These are my old insurance cards that I have a couple of them that I just repurposed because I don't know, I didn't know what to do with them once they were gone, and I need them for, you need to smooth this out really thin. So a card is the best way to do it. Now, you can buy those cards from like an Illustrated Faith, and I'm sure there's other Bible journaling companies that you can get them from, but this works perfectly fine. So that's what I'm using, and you just want to spread it very thinly on the page. So you just kind of scrape it all the way down, and then you come to the next area and scrape it all the way down. There is going to be extra on the back. You're going to keep that because we're going to do a second layer. That's how I keep it from getting those spots where it's too thin or it's not, it hasn't been done well enough. Now, there's two different ways you can dry this. Well, three different ways you can dry this. One would be just to let it air dry, and that it would be, it takes a little bit of time, and I'm not going to make you stay here with me while I do that. What I'm going to do is I instead have a craft heat tool, so I'm going to use that. Now, the other option is if you just have a hair dryer, you could definitely use a hair dryer. I just happen to have my craft tool like handy next to my craft table, so I'm just gonna make sure there's no really big gloopy spots on there, and then come in here with that and heat it all up. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna read the verses that I have here. So the verses that we're doing is again Luke 8, and it is verses 22 through 25. And it says, "One day he got into the boat with his disciples, and he said to them, 'Let us go across to the other side of the lake.' So they set out. And as they sailed, he fell asleep. And a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling with water, and they were in danger. And they went and woke him and said, 'Master, Master, we are perishing.' He awoke and he rebuked the wind and the raging waves, and they ceased, and there was a calm. He said to them, 'Where is your faith?' And they were afraid, and they marveled, saying to one another, 'Who then is this, that he commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him?'" I think that's something, besides the fact that I need to calm down, and that's kind of where, again, I was saying, you know, the calming of the storm, but also in this crazy pandemic and all of the politics that are being thrown from either side, I think it's really important to remind ourselves that God is in control, that he is, you know, he can, in the instant, if he needed to, calm the storm that we are in. But he could also use these things to grow us and to bring us back to him. So, you know, his will be done in all of this, whether it is to let it play out or whether it is to end it immediately. I'm not God, so I cannot see how, you know, these things will benefit everybody in the long run. It's sometimes hard to see when you're in the middle of that storm, what good can come of it, but there's almost always something good that comes of it in the end, whether it's a growing of faith or whether it is, you know, well, that's the main thing I think that really comes of it, is people growing more in their faith. I know that after 9/11, it was such a crazy time and it was absolutely insane, but that is one thing that actually literally brought people together. Like, there was God Bless America all over America at that time. So tragedy has a way of bringing people together. Okay, now I'm going to dry it again, and then we'll get into the art part of things. But that is what I do to prep a page. I use the gesso, and I put 2 layers on to make sure that it is well covered and nothing's going to get through it. And still sometimes there's still places I miss, but I think I've gotten all of it this time, so we should be good. So we'll just get this in there. This page has so many good parables on it. Like, this is one where, like, it's going to be great to have a new Bible soon. I think that I probably will only do, I don't know, another 20 or so in this Bible, and then I'll probably go on to a new Bible. I don't want to always, like, overfill the Bible with the drawings and things like that. I want it to be a fair mix of both. And I think this one is nearing its end for the Bible journaling side of things. I think I need some more in the Old Testament before I move on, though, so we'll see. Okay, now we're going to pull this out, make sure it's all dry, and it is fantastic. You'll see that this is curling up, and that's okay. I have a way of taking care of that. So these little clips right here is actually what I'm going to use. These are off of $1, like, I got them from the dollar store. They usually have magnets in the back. And I do have, I did actually glue the magnets to some boards to make them into clipboards, which are super cute. And these are still usable for that. I can just put them right back on because the magnet is what holds this to the magnet. But for now, I really like using them for holding the pages of my Bible down. Now, you can also use binder clips. That's another option. These just happen to be what I have nearby. A glitter. Shocking. I have glitter everywhere. Okay, so we're just going to take the very, very edge of the Bible page and hold them down. I want it to be as close to the edge as humanly possible because I'm going to be painting and I don't want to have to take them off a million times to paint that area. So, okay. Now, I think what I want to do is I want to do a calm storm. A calm storm? No, I want to do a calm ocean with a beach. Because I've done oceans before and I've done like a sunset, although it was kind of a crazy one. I don't think it was very calm. Let me see. What did it look like? Nope, not that one. I mean, I guess that looks like a wave. I think I was trying to do a big, huge wave. So this one's not as calm. I kind of want to do more of what you see in like the like resin art, where it's just like a beach and a really chill ocean. So I am going to be using a water pen. This one is brand new, so it kind of was leaking last time I used it. Hopefully it doesn't leak this time, but I don't have a water bucket, so I hope this works out, because otherwise I have to go get a water bucket. And then I have my watercolors right here. Now, for anybody who is wanting to get their own watercolors, these are by Karatake. I think it's Karatake. I found them on Amazon, really, honestly, like Kuratake. And I love them. They're really good. Now, personally, my absolute favorite would be David Smith, but those are like $7 a tube, and I don't need $7 a tube watercolors, so I'm not going to. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna just start in, I really should have prepped these watercolors, but it's okay, I'll do it real quick. To prep the watercolors, I just squirt some water into each one of them. See, it's already gone almost. That's cool. Amy, you were not prepared. But it's okay, we'll survive. I also think I'm going to put a little bit in this gold right here because I think it would be kind of cool to make the beach a little shimmery. And I'm going to wipe this off so that it doesn't have any colors on it, and I'm going to put some in the white, which you probably cannot see. I believe it is off the screen. Cool. All right, so let's start with the beach while all my watercolors are getting juicy. That's a pretty good beach color, if I do say so myself. I would do a boat, but I feel like boats are, I think there's a lot of pieces to a boat, and I don't know that I want to paint all of those pieces. I feel like that could be really involved, so I'm gonna keep it simple. Maybe I'll do a boat really, really far, and it'll just be like a black, a black silhouette or something. Okay, so we're just going to get this yellow down here, and this is where I said, you know, you want to make sure that it's really close to the edge so that the color still gets there. Actually, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to dry it, and that way I can put that back on and not worry about it not having color there. Now, these are not going to act exactly the same as watercolors do on watercolor paper, because this paper is not absorbent of water. Watercolor paper, it does absorb, but it absorbs them slowly so that you can really, you know, play around with the watercolors before they dry. This, again, because of that gesso, it doesn't have any absorbency. It just kind of sits on top of the page, which is fine. That's what we want, but just keep that in mind while if you paint on top of this, it will actually pick up the color. It won't let you like layer like normal if you're not careful. So got to be careful. And then I'm going to put the gold on over it. Let's see. So this is layering, but ooh, that is so pretty. But I'm okay if they kind of mix, because this gold's probably going to rise to the top anyways. It's going to be sitting on the surface of the water, so it's fine. That is a really pretty gold. Oh my goodness. And I barely use it. I should use it more often. Especially for beaches. That looks like a perfect beach color in my opinion. And it's going to be shimmery, just kind of like I feel like sand kind of shimmers in the sun. So I feel like that's a good call. I am kind of shaky because I had a coffee today and this is what it does to me, but I have not been sleeping well lately, so then I go get coffee and then I don't sleep well because of the coffee, so it's a vicious cycle. I don't understand it, but it's a vicious cycle. As you will notice, I do cover my words in my paintings. Some people do not. Hey, Mom. I choose to because this is my art Bible. This is specifically for my art journaling. I do have a study Bible or a regular Bible that I study in. This one is just for expressing what God is teaching me or how I've related to that specific passage, or just how I'm going to remember the passage, because sometimes they're not even related to the passage. They're just florals or something like that, but it helps me remember the passage that I was doing and just kind of take it to heart. So it's my expression. All right, so that is done. I'm gonna dry that again. I'm gonna try to dry this edge first so that I can use that. I'm definitely gonna need to get more water for this. So that I can use the clip when I'm drying the rest of it, because pulling it straight does actually help with, when it's drying, does actually help it stay straight. So we're going to do that. Otherwise it kind of ripples up a little bit, which is okay. I have a lot of ripply pages, but when I can, I try not to. Okay, for some reason I'm smelling syrup. I'm not sure why, because I don't think that these watercolors smell like syrup. They're not scratch and sniff, but that's kind of what I'm smelling. It's all good. Hello, April. All right, so now we're going to go in with some of the blues of the ocean, and they're going to start light and go darker because the deeper the water, the darker the water. And actually, I'm going to start from this edge and kind of bring it in. So that, and these are going to be really dark to begin with, and then I'll add more water to kind of soften them. Again, this is not typical watercolor paper, so it doesn't react the same way. This is just gesso over a Bible journaling or Bible page, so the watercolor kind of just sits on top. I'm also, for those of you who did not know, I am not a professional watercolor artist. I just do this because I enjoy painting with them, and I think that they really work well over a Bible journaling page, because then you can still see the story a little bit in there. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to paint the whole ocean and everything, and then I'm going to go in and blot out that spot so that it lifts it and makes it readable. Again, I don't always do it. There's some parts that are not readable, and that's fine. Again, this is just my Bible journaling page, Bible, but then it just kind of makes it easier to read the spot that really was speaking to me. Again, that's super dark. So let's see, I have a little bit of water left, but I really like that teal color. Oh my goodness. Yes. Beautiful. I feel like a lot of people are dealing with storms right now. Like I've said in the past in some of my other Bible journalings that I honestly, I have it so good. I've been so blessed by God through all of this. Like, if anything, this has really made it easier for me to spend more time in my art, in my Bible journaling, and in all of that. It is hard because then I don't see my family as much, but honestly, with my family being so far away, is this Bible made for Bible journaling, or could I use any Bible? You can use any Bible. You just want to make sure that you have the gesso that you're going to put on it. This is a Bible journaling Bible, so it does have the extra on the sides for you to write in, but you could literally use any Bible. You just have to have the gesso to make sure that it doesn't go through the page. But yeah, so as I was saying, like, I don't see my family a lot anyways because my mom lives really far away, my dad lives in Sultan, and I just moved out, so I wasn't really seeing everybody often anyways, but I actually have probably spoken to some of my family members more now since quarantine than I had prior to quarantine. So I guess if anything, it actually has brought me together with everybody, which is awesome. And so I personally, again, have not dealt with a lot of the craziness that I feel like a lot of people are dealing with right now. I've been really blessed to just be able to spend more time in these creative outlets, but I know that that's not the same for everybody, that there's a lot of people who are going through storms, who are going through really tough times right now. And so I hope that this kind of just puts you at ease to know that you're not alone and that God is in control, and that he's going to use this to grow you and to make things better in the end. And just, he's got you. God's got you. Keep that in mind. This is going to, I'm running out of the water. Almost out. Absolutely. So I think I'm going to have to go get a little bit more water for this brush because it is definitely out of water right now. I'm just kind of pushing paint around on the page with the water that's already there, which is fine. It's still moving, but I won't be able to go all the way to the edge right here. This is also a small brush. For this type of a wash, I normally would use a bigger brush, but I hadn't put water in the rest of my brushes yet. I have a whole set of them. Oh, hey, look, this one has water. I guess I could use that one for a while. Ooh. These are through Arteza. You can find them. These ones I think are personally my favorite, and these are Pentel. They just I seem like better quality, and it's going to be funny because I probably will then use this and it won't work because it's so old and crusty. But it really is a really good quality, and the plastic's really easy to squish, and it's I don't know, I really like these ones. These ones are okay, they're just not like the most comfortable, and they seem to drip sometimes. But I would have probably used one of these bigger brushes if I had water in them at the time, but I don't, so I didn't. All right, let's see if this one is too crusty to use. If it is, I can just pour the water into the other one. Yeah, I've had this one for quite a while, so we're just gonna pour the water into this other one. And very, very carefully, because again, I'm shaking due to the caffeine intake today. And these are really small openings. And it's not a ton of water, but it should hopefully get us through this page. So, cool. Awesome. I don't have to leave you guys. All right, so we'll go and we'll put a little more water down here. So that we can spread more of the paint. I'm not going to have it touch the gold quite yet if I can help it, because once it does, I'm afraid that like it might bleed a little bit, so I'm going to kind of stay away from it as long as possible, and just kind of move the blue around until I get it exactly where I want it, and then I will just at the very last minute. In fact, actually, I might leave this blank because I'm going to put some white there, so I might just leave that where it's at. Okay. I think I'm going to add some of this like mid blue right here in, because there's a lot of like the greenish blue, but not very much of that blue. And again, these watercolors are not going to act the exact same on here, just because it's not watercolor paper. If you're used to using watercolors, it's gonna act a little different. And it'll do weird things, and sometimes you just have to be okay with it. You're just like, oh, okay, it's gonna puddle. All right. It gives it character. All right, some more of this type of blue. I don't think I've actually put this blue in there yet. I have a fuzzy right here, I think, that's stuck in my gesso. It was driving me nuts. I should have wiped the page down before I put the blue on. Usually, like, if you get dust in your gesso, it's fine. Like, once it dries, if you run your hands over it, you can usually get it to come out. I just didn't run my hands through it, so that's what that is. Okay. Gonna pull some of that blue closer to the shore, and then go with the way of the wave. And a little more of the darker blue, royal blue, I'd say. Cobalt blue, I don't really know. You would think for being an artist, I would know my colors better. Nope. I like saying like, this looks pretty. I like this. This is speaking to me. Okay. So I think that I'm gonna dry this and see how it looks, and then go from there. I'm gonna do this corner like I did the bottom one. I'm gonna dry this first, and then I'm gonna pull it so that hopefully some of this will flatten out. And you're probably seeing a bunch of glare. My goodness, what am I doing? Bunch of glare. Okay, so dry that corner. Get the blue off of this, the wet blue off of the clip. All right, and now it's dried enough. And when you do this, it's going to sometimes pull the page a little bit away from the glue that normally keeps that page in there. That's also okay. It makes my pages slightly longer, and I think it's kind of funny. But it's fine. It doesn't hurt the page, and it stays in just fine. This book, this Bible is from christianbibles.com, or christianbooks.com, sorry. christianbooks.com. They usually have a journaling Bible for as cheap as like $17.99. I actually have multiple, and I think this is going to be the first one I post on YouTube. I know I've said that a few times, but I did do this with the intention of putting it on YouTube this time. Once I post this on YouTube, I will put it as a giveaway for whoever, like if anybody comments and subscribes, then I will put all of those in a hat, and I will, or bowl or whatever, and then I'll draw a name. And I'm going to do a gift package. It's going to have a Bible. It's going to have some stamps. It might have some stickers, and it's going to have some gesso. So if you, and maybe even a water pen. I might put a water pen in there. I don't have any like watercolors to add in there, but I could put in a water pen and do a little freebie for subscribers. So keep an eye out for that. I will share it on my Facebook once I post it, and that should hopefully be tonight. I'm setting the intention. It's going to happen. I'm gonna post it. Okay, now that it's dry, you should be able to see it a little bit better. Unfortunately, again, with the water, it kind of makes it hard to see sometimes. So that gold, I still love that gold. It looks so pretty and shiny. Okay, I actually really do think this is turning out really good. I like it. So I think what I'll do now is I'll clean off my brush as much as possible with the water I have, which is dwindling. And then I'm going to take some of this white, and that's where I'm going to put the white along this edge right here. I'm going to try to do this. Ooh, what did I do? Amy, you made a mess. I'll have to put some more gold there. Gold is pretty forgiving, so I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to try to do this the way I normally do my cups, and I'm going to try to blow on it. I don't know if it's wet enough to work, but we'll give it a try. We'll see. I might have to actually put water behind it for it to actually do something or look decent, so we'll see. Okay, this isn't working. Yeah, nope, that does not look like waves. So we'll just put some water or some white in the blue like this. Yeah, apparently it doesn't work quite the same. I'm not shocked. Not shocked at all. But I think that is one of the great parts of, doing art in general, is being able to experiment and have fun with trying new things. So, yep. Okay. We're just going to kind of make that go out a little bit. It's very subtle. I'm going to do another wave out here a little bit, and that one will not be as subtle, I don't think. And I also got my Posca pen, my white Posca pen, because I might go in and add some splashes and stuff, highlights with this Posca pen. I think that will make it really pop. So, always trying new things in my Bible. Sometimes you just gotta go for it. Go for it. That's another thing I've heard. I've heard some people, they're like, oh, I'm just so afraid I'm gonna ruin it. I honestly, like, my first Bible, my first journaling Bible, I wasn't a huge fan of how I did how I started off. Like, I started off with a lot of washi tape and a lot of like just pencil, and it wasn't my favorite just because of me and my personality. So that is why I ended up getting a second Bible. And once I found out what my style is, I really do love the watercolors. As you can see from my Bible, like I've done a lot of watercolors in this. I also really do enjoy putting the paper pieces in. So whatever your style is, just go with it. And don't be afraid to, you know, do your first one. If it's not exactly how you like it, it's totally fine. You could have a practice one to start with, and then once you find what you like to do, just go, you know, get another one, and that way you'll have one. I've had some people who I talk to that they actually do this, and then they give it to their, they're planning on giving it to their daughter, or, I mean, if it's a guy. I've never heard of a guy doing Bible journaling, though, which is kind of sad to me, because I know that there's some guy artists out there. But they give it to their daughter. They're planning on giving it to their daughter, and with all of the art pieces in it and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a memory, like a keepsake for their family. So the first one that you would do would just be kind of like finding your groove, finding out what your style is, and then the second one would probably be more like your final draft type thing. So this is the cool thing again about using the gesso on the page and then the watercolors, is you can go in and you can wipe off the watercolors. And so you can go in and say, you know what, I really want my Bible verse to stand out. And you can go in and just take off the watercolor right there. Another reason why I love watercolors. Some of the other paints would not do this, but watercolor is very, very forgiving. So there's that. Okay. Let's see here. I think so. This has still got a kind of an edge to it for the blue moving into the white. Although again, I think I'm gonna actually come in with a Posca marker, so I'm not gonna use any more white now that I just put more white down, because I think I'm gonna do that and make this edge more, you know. And this is, I think, also too perfect. I think it needs a little, I mean, I am going to use more white because I'm going to make it a little less perfect first, by putting a little more white into that sand. It's going to come out like a lighter sandy color, which is kind of cool. But waves they're not perfect. Okay. And it's still calm. Like, I know it's got some waves, but it's still pretty calm. Okay. Do a little bit more mushing over here with that gold and white. And actually, before I dry this, I'm also going to grab a little bit more of that gold. You know, getting close to being out of water again, so and just cover up that mistake right there. Look like never happened. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to dry this so you guys can see it again, because all of that glare probably doesn't help. Hey Helen, how are you? I'm not sure who's exactly in here right now. It doesn't always tell me who's joined or who's in here. And then as people go and come back, I kind of miss who's in here and who's not. So if you want to say hi, I can do a shout out and say hi back. That would be cool. If you are new, I am doing a drawing for after I put this on YouTube. If you follow my YouTube or subscribe to my YouTube and you comment on the video in the YouTube, then you will be entered into a drawing to earn your own Bible journal and some other Bible journaling supplies. Again, I'm smelling syrup and I'm not sure where I'm smelling it from. Like, I don't get it. It must be these paints, but I'm not sure how that could be. But okay, so it's dry. The white tends to have more of a sheen to it than the rest of the colors. Like, it has like a shininess to it. I'm not sure why it does that, but it does. All right, so I'm gonna shake up my Posca pan. These things are amazing. They're not super cheap, but they're really amazing. I love them. Oh, it's not fully dry. That's okay. It's mostly dry. So we're going to come on in here, and I'm going to kind of put in some waves, I guess. I don't really know. This might need a little bit more juice. Posca, I just told them how amazing you are. You gotta work for me, okay? There we go. Just need to talk it up. So Posca markers are, I believe, an acrylic-based paint. It's a poster paint, but because we have the gesso on these pages, actually, I've even used Posca on regular paper, and as long as you don't go over it a million times, it seems to work just fine. But specifically because of the fact that this is gessoed, it will be just fine, and it will just lay on top, and it won't go through the page or anything like that. It will cover anything that's underneath it, so if you do want your words to be legible, you do not want to use Posca pens. But if you're okay with them not being legible like I am, then you can definitely use them. And I've used this white guy a lot, so he's probably protesting a little bit and is like, I'm to the end of my days, lady. When I was up at my mom's house, I was using this Posca marker, and the altitude is way different up there, and I think that must have had a effect on it, because my Posca marker literally like exploded all over the place when I tried to do the like tap to like this. But that was like the 5th time I've done that, so of course it explodes. But it like literally did it numerous times while I was there, while I was barely touching the paper. So when you're at high altitudes, you might have to be more careful about using your Posca pens. They are not quite used to it. Doing that was perfect, because it actually got me a lot more ink out, because again, it wasn't quite coming out right now. And I think you can buy the Posca markers in individual if you want on Amazon. And they come in many different sizes, and these ones are the 3M, 3mm. I also have some that are the 5mm, and I also just got some that were that are the black in 1ml, because or millimeter, not milliliter, because I think that when it comes to outlining stuff, it'll be really nice to have a thinner Posca marker. So I think I'm going to try to get some more of it to come out like it did. Sweet. There we go. It was really interesting because I was looking up on YouTube different ways to use Posca markers, and there was a guy who is like, I guess, a famous Posca marker artist, and he actually used them for painting surfboards, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. And I mean, that's when I was like, oh my goodness, these could be so helpful for the cups and for anything else that I want to paint. And like, even if I'm painting with acrylics, these would be great for doing some of the highlights and lowlights, or just outlining or whatever. I have to say, like, one of my biggest pet peeves about Sharpies is that Sharpies have like a sheen on them. Once they're dry, they like shine a weird reddish color sometimes. These dry matte, which I love. I just think it looks really cool. Now on my cups, it doesn't really matter, because once they are covered in the epoxy, they are no longer matte. But on other projects. I think that's just really cool, a really cool feature. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of lace some of that. I love it when water, like the waves lace together. I don't know if I posted, I think I posted a picture of this, but on my friend Tabitha's cup when I made it, it actually happened totally by accident, but the epoxy, the white epoxy that I had kind of did like a lacing effect with it, and I thought it looked so cool, and it looks like how the water does sometimes when it kind of separates and has the foam around it. So I thought that was kind of perfect. The more I do this little like my bad. I was gonna say, the more I do that, the less it's gonna have inside of its reservoir. So I probably shouldn't do that a ton, but I think I need to replace this one soon anyway, so it's fine. It's okay. I think that's actually kind of cool. There's times when I have art supplies that don't get used as much, and I like don't ever finish them or anything like that. So to have an art supplies that I love so much that I actually use it completely, that says something in my opinion. And I've already ran out of one marker because of all of my cacti cups. I ran out of one of the green markers. Should I put the cover on before I do that? Probably. Am I out completely? Probably. So this might be as good as it gets. Let's put the cap on and shake it up a bit. I don't know if that's going to help or anything. Da, 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 da. What might actually help is drying this page for a second, but nope, we're just completely out. We're at that time. Oh, well, that's sad. Okay, well, we're gonna dry this up. And I think I'm going to go back in with the watercolors and see if I can get a little more of an opaque white. Or I do have acrylic, so I could go in with acrylic to do these. I mean, I'm making them opaque enough that they might as well be acrylic at this point. Maybe I will do that. Yay for the smell of syrup. Okay, I'm not leaving. I'm just grabbing my white acrylic paint and my regular brushes. Okay. So I'm gonna use, I think, this one. Shockingly enough, I have a few pencils that look like they are actually relatively in decent shape. Nope, these two are frayed. I need to be better about my paintbrushes. I'm a horrible paintbrush keeper. Okay. Now because, let's see, I wasn't planning on doing this. Let me see if I can grab little container. I literally have all of my cup making stuff like right there. Oh, Amy, that was a bad move. That's all my cup making stuff. And so it's real close by. My phone holder just fell off. That's fun. Let's see if I can get it to go and stay back where I put it. Okay. That's gonna have to hold for a little while. Okay. Move that back. So having all of my cup making stuff right over there, kind of handy because then I have things like my white acrylic paint when I need it. My white acrylic paint is really not pretty. It's old. That's okay. All right, and I don't need a ton. I just need a little bit because I'm just going to come in here. Now I could have saved my Posca marker if I'm going to go to the acrylic anyways in the long run. Should have just done the acrylic. Oh well. Okay, so again, we're going to do those lacings and we're going to kind of go over the sand a little bit. Okay. Kind of getting that sea foam laced vibe. Okay. The acrylics are kind of cracking. Maybe that's just the Posca marker. Maybe I haven't put acrylics there. Good to know. Which actually kind of makes sense because the sand in that gold, it probably is a little bit more cracky than normal. Over the regular watercolors, it probably would have been just fine. But anything that has like a shine to it, it tends to need a little bit, just a little bit more, it's a little more pigmented, so it has a little bit more of the chunks in it, which makes it kind of more cracky and stuff, so it's all good. All right, now we're going to move up to here. We're just going to kind of do a little bit of the waves. I think if I kind of push it, ooh, that's kind of cool looking. Yeah, it's kind of getting all the white on one end with like a thin white on the end. I'll just come in here and just kind of squish it around. Again right here. A little more paint for that. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with a dry brush real quick. So I'm going to kind of wipe that off real quick. And I'm going to kind of hopefully feather out some of the acrylic at the bottom so it doesn't look like a harsh line there. Not too shabby. Okay. And then, hey Kathy. So for these, like, you just get a lot of paint and you kind of squish it towards the front, or towards wherever your waves are going. Out is the way my waves are going currently. And it kind of just makes it so it all kind of puddles. And then you want to dry your brush a little bit and kind of feather out the bottom so that it doesn't look like a harsh line. Oh, I think that's kind of cool. Might have to do something like that with parts of here. So like, oh, needs a little more. You need quite a bit of the paint when you're doing it this way. You want to get that ridge of white. Okay, let's see, do another one right here. Lots of white. Take some of the white off. I think my paintbrush is getting a little bit too thick for it to do what it was doing earlier. Okay, one more right here. We're just gonna push all of that out. Oh, there you go. That's what we want. Take quite a bit of paint and just kind of push it so that there's white on the end and then the rest is kind of like a light blue. Wipe off the rest of your paint and then kind of come in here and blend the rest of it out. And if it does what this one just did in some places, which just means that there's too much, means that there's a little bit too much white in that spot. So we're going to push that white out. And then we're going to come back in and again just blend it out a little bit. This usually you would clean your brush and then you would dry it off and then you would do this, and so it would be a little easier, but this girl doesn't have any water with her. I'm just wiping it off of right around the actual Bible verse because the acrylic, once it dries, is really hard to pull away from this, while the watercolor was really easy. So I'm just kind of pushing that away so while it's wet so that it doesn't stay over the writing. Hey Heather. I don't know, I think maybe one more right here. These ones are not as obvious because they're over the lighter blue already. So it's not as obvious what it is doing, which is fine. Got some waves going on there. All right, so that is calming the storm. I think, other than my Bible journaling, which y'all know I like to do a lot of that off camera, which I'll just do right here because I left it pretty light here, so I can still go in and write down what God is speaking to me about this verse, and what's going on right now in my mind. But it looks like I'm pretty much done. Maybe put a little more on a couple of these waves, clear up the color a little bit, clarify the white, blend that out. All right, cool. So if you've watched this far, well, thank you, Heather. If you've watched this far, just make sure that if you were wanting to start doing Bible journaling as well, I am going to be posting this one probably tonight, hopefully tonight, on YouTube, and then I'm going to be doing a drawing for some Bible journaling supplies. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure that you subscribe and comment on the YouTube video, and then I will put you into the drawing, which I will... Let's see, today's Tuesday, so let's plan for next Tuesday. I don't think, next Monday's Memorial Day, actually, so let's do next Monday evening, we will do the drawing. So on Monday, I believe it's the 25th, we will do the drawing for the 25th. We'll do the drawing for the Bible and supplies. So make sure to enter by, again, subscribing and following and commenting. All right. God bless, and everybody have a good night. I am going to go eat some dinner and go to bed, hopefully early. All right. Bye.